Thank you so much for staying with us right here on your radio that's talking about Rave 91.7 FM, where we define every beat of your moment. Here we bring you amazing music, and we spice it up with quality talk always. One of those talks is Frank Talk, where we take a frank look at issues in our polity. We look at policies, we look at politics. Policies as mapped out by our policymakers, and politics as played out by our politicians. Looking at diverse aspects of our national life. All of these in a bit to raise in a level of public discourse, preferring solutions to whatever challenges we're facing us as a nation, as a state, or as individuals. My name is Femi Olani. I believe you had a fine weekend. I'm welcoming you to the first edition of Frank Talk for this brand new week. Well, today we'll be looking at government policies in the area of education, especially here in Osun State. Dr. Wade, my guest today, has been here before. We're looking at Osun 25 then, and he was here alongside former Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Honorable Sunday Akerabaden. Today we are one-on-one with him, looking at issues holistically in that particular sector. You recall that the high point of the celebration was the visit by President Muhammad Buhari to Osun State, and he commissioned one of the many projects built by this administration of Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, the magnificent Osogbo Government High School in Osogbo. My guest this morning, Dr. Isiaka Yodele Owade, is Executive Chairman, Osun Basic Education Quality Assurance and Morality Enforcement Agency. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on Front Talk.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Well, to start with, what wonders these particular agencies do? What is it really about?
Well, it's a new agency created about 2 weeks ago by Mr. Governor.
2 weeks?
Yeah. Apparently, there are units in various government MDAs relating to education, handling quality, handling assurance, handling discipline. But we just think it's about time to really put everything under one roof for improved efficiency. So the agency will be responsible for monitoring quality assurance in public and private schools, as well as enforcing discipline. That's the morality enforcement bit of it. So much money is being spent on education. Magnificent buildings are coming up. Schools are being renovated. So much money going in. And we just have to wrap it up to ensure that the outcome, the performance of pupils actually matches the expenditure.
But if you look at this, at the creation of this agency that you said it's barely 2 weeks old, I hear, is it as a result of government seeing that its efforts, its huge efforts in that sector, is probably not yielding the desired result? There's been so much criticism of government policies in that sector, and it's really
quality assurance in education is a federal government project, federal government policy. There is a document on quality assurance in education at the national level. And, this quality assurance schedule has to be replicated in the state. Like I said earlier, there are quality assurance units in the agencies, that has to do with education. SUBEB has its own, Ministry of Education has its own. So we are now pulling all of this together under one agency just for improved efficiency, like I said. Well, as far back as 2013, December 2013, we've been looking at issue of discipline and performance and output in education. And I think, if I remember correctly, we've had 2 summits, and we've had about 4 actually committees looking at discipline, looking at performance of our pupils at the WAEC and NECO level. WAEC performance at the state level is going up from 13% in 2010 to about 22%, last year. Performance is going up. It's not satisfactory, but it is going up. What is worrisome, really, is the state, is the extent discipline has gone down in schools. So, committees were set up to examine these issues, and we reasonably understand the issues, the factors that are responsible for such low performance in education, and also outrageous in discipline or discipline level in our schools. So Mr. Governor thought, well, now we know we know the issues, we know the factors. Now is to address those factors. So the agency has come up purposely to address the issue of performance and discipline in schools.
Do you agree, with some school of thought who believe that this issue of discipline you're talking about was raised to this outrageous level by the reclassification policy, the merging of the schools by the state government, and that played a big role in this indiscipline?
I disagree, because actually the reclassification has been pivotal to what we are doing. The reclassification has helped discipline. What was happening originally was we had schools all mixed up. You have GSS and SSS pupils in one location. And what we found out was that the misconduct was largely, at the SSS level, largely. I'm not ruling out the GSS level. So the misconduct was largely due to SSS, and we were beginning to notice copycat actions by pupils in the lower school, GSS. So it was appropriate to separate the two schools, take SSS to its own location, which we now call high school. And just that action alone, we have brought back sanity to the middle school. We do not have such level of worry at the middle school level. Obviously, elementary school, they are still babies, they are still being nurtured. So there's no real problem there. So the reclassification was to achieve sanity, put everybody in their age band, so that you don't have 13-year-olds schooling in the same premises with 19-year-olds. The 19-year-old is a semi-adult. He wants to behave like an adult, whereas the 13-year-old is still under construction, as it were. We're still molding them at that level. So it was very right that they were separated as of 2013. And we've had peace at that lower level. Even the separation also, you agree with me. I mean, initially, like anything, there will be teething problems, initial problems. So the separation, the reclassification, even at the senior secondary school level, now high school, is yielding result. We are beginning to notice calmer, environment. The pupils are becoming calmer than they were before. You understand? Sometimes just human growth psychology. An 18-year-old or 17-year-old or 19-year-old student sometimes want to show off to a 14-year-old puppy. You understand? Either by rough-handing him or by just showing might is right on him. But now, 17, 18, 19, they are together. If they want to show up to each other, let them show up to each other. You understand what I mean? So that element of behavior constitution, as it were, we took it out. So pupils now are educated according to their age band, and that is what obtains in the Western world.
But here in Nigeria, it seems that Osun State is the only state practicing that. We used to have 6-3-3-4. Now we seem to have
4-5-3.
4-5-3 is what we have now.
We still have, the important thing is that we still have 12 years of basic education.
12 years.
Yeah, that is what the national curriculum requires. And we haven't really changed anything. What we did was to move primaries 5 and 6 out of the primary school, the elsewhere primary school environment, and then put them together with GSF to form the 5 years of middle school. So we haven't changed anything. The primary 5 and 6 taken off to join the middle school, they still complete their primary school curriculum, even when they are there. But I need to make this clear. The reclassification was also essentially to achieve what you call completion. In the past, when pupils reached primary 6, we observed that so many were getting taken off to go into the trades, to go and learn one trade or the other, carpentry, welding and stuff. Nothing wrong in this, but the desire, the vision of the current administration is that minimum level of education in the state of Osun must be 9 years. The previous primary 6 and the GSS. We want pupils to complete 9 years seamlessly, without any break, without any seeming break in between. So what's happening now is primary 4, when they finish in the, elementary school, they are too young anyway to go to be apprenticed out. So the natural course is to go into the middle school. So they do their 5 and 6, that's grade 5 and grade 6, and then continue into grade 8, 9, and 10, which is the GSS. So it's seamless. There's no break. So to a parent, a child will get up to 9 years of education before even they begin to think of farming him into apprenticeship.
All right. Okay. Now let's look at one issue that many people have raised in time past as regards government policy, also in education. No doubt there are many beautiful structures all around. One of them was the one commissioned by the president when it came to Osun State, the Osun Government High School. You have some others also going on in different parts of the state. But then there's been concern as to the content. It's been said that the government is focusing mainly on the hardware and neglecting the software. That while you're building structures, you're not taking adequate care of what obtains in those beautiful structures. The students, and then especially the teachers that will teach them as regards motivation. What have you?
Yeah, well, again, I take us back slightly to reclassification. You see, before people criticize, they need to understand the vision behind any policy. When we reclassified, it was based on so many considerations. And one of the considerations was to provide the best conducive environment, to education as possible. Education, the environment is as important as the teachers and so on that will look after these pupils. And everything is a gradual process. You understand? When Ogbeni Arabeshola's administration came in 2010, November, the first assignment undertaking was a visit to all the schools in the state to actually take an inventory of what was obtaining. Then we found pupils learning on the floor, sitting on the floor. We found pupils sitting on the windows. We found roofs collapsing on the pupils. We have found ceilings collapsing on the pupils. And even if you brought in professors to teach them, under such conditions, the outcome will still be unsatisfactory. Even if you put the best professors in the world to teach under such conditions, the outcome will not be favorable. So there was a comprehensive planning, what must be done to take Osun from where it was to where we would like it to be. School grants were increased. We put in more learning materials into schools. More teachers were employed. So many things were done. Teacher training, and if you recollect, we took teachers to Osun University for training. So all of this, they have to go hand in hand. And the main thing, the buildings where these pupils will learn, the buildings where these teachers will teach, must be conducive. A teacher leaving his or her house, going to school, must feel like she's going, or he or she is going to an office.
I mean, in talking about a conducive environment, no doubt that seems to have been achieved.
Yes.
But then looking at the teachers who will now teach inside of those schools, if you got to speak with them one-on-one, they seem not to be happy with the system because of the economic situation of the state.
Yeah, well, economic situation is economic situation. Economic situation is not affecting education alone. Economic situation is affecting agri, it's affecting health, it's affecting so many things. So we will not single out education for bashing because of economic situation. We're going to make the best of what we've got. And I just told you that more teachers have been employed. Teachers' remuneration is better than what it used to be. Now, teachers in primary school have the opportunity to rise to as high as PS level, permanent secretary level in the system.
It wasn't like that before.
It was, the peg was, I think, grade level 14. So all of this was done to address morale. And I'm happy to say that we have seen improved morale in some schools. We're not there yet, you understand? And as it applies to any other sector of the state, of the economy, no sector will ever get 100% of what it needs, you understand? But as in education, as far as education is concerned, what we will be asking is, even if we give you just a piece of chalk, we want result. If I give you a desk to sit on, we want result for it, you understand? So we got to maximize. what we've got.
Well, let's look at the reclassification policy once again. Some of your critics have said that as per UNESCO policy, that schools should not be more than 1 kilometer to the particular student or pupil. Elementary.
Yeah.
Now, the reclassification project has seen some schools merged together, and some have claimed that it's left some communities without schools again, and they need to move elsewhere, trek long distances to go to such schools.
Well,
Isn't that counterproductive?
You made a good point. The reclassification did not move any elementary school. The schools, the primary school, the SY primary schools were still where they were, within more pupils of primary schools. You understand? Primaries 5 and 6, that's like, I think that's age 9 and 10, I think. They were moved to former GSS classes, and none of them was beyond 1 kilometer to their home. For high school pupils that are 17, 18, 19, these are adults, you understand. And we thought, wherever the high school is, an adult at that level, 17, 18, 19, we had no problem with, what was important and the objective of the reclassification. I'll give you an example. In Oshun, as at then, we had secondary schools with 50 pupils, secondary schools with 50 pupils, some secondary schools with 200 pupils, you understand, some with 150 pupils. I doubt this, prior to reclassification, if we had secondary school with 1,000 pupils. So, in terms of economy of scale, it was becoming difficult and extremely expensive to provide for such mini schools, such scattered schools. And the thinking, the vision was, if we put these pupils together, if we build facilities big enough to contain many pupils, then these many pupils can be looked after. We can provide their laboratories, we can provide their sporting facilities, we can provide them with computers and so on. And that is what we are achieving now with reclassification. We've put pupils, we've put mini schools, little schools, we put them together to become big so that we can take advantage of economy of scale. And you will agree with me, if we have 300 pupils in 3 schools, that's 900. You understand? So we have to provide an headmaster for 300 headmaster in each of the 300 pupil schools. You have to provide math teacher in each. You have to provide English teacher in each. Whereas you can put 300 together to make 900, provide them on one spot with many classrooms, with library big enough, with school sporting facilities, and it becomes cheaper. And I'm telling you, for those who understand the economy, the savings from running these schools in 5 years will pay for each of these state-of-the-art schools we are putting together. The savings alone. Because when you put your 3 schools together to form one school, you need 1 teacher, 1 or 2 teachers instead of 3 teachers of mathematics. Whereas in the past, maybe one of the schools will have the teacher and 2 schools will not have any teacher. But now, by putting them together under improved infrastructure, the teachers, one teacher that was teaching 300 will probably teach 600 pupils. That's just an example. I'm using the teacher availability. But the same applies. One library will serve the 900 instead of us building a library in each of the schools. One sports arena will serve the 900 instead of building sports facilities in each of the schools.
In saving these costs, I'm introducing economics into all of this now. Yep. Some principals really complain that they've not been getting the running grants that they should to run the schools. As a matter of fact, it was said that the schools could not conduct exams at some point in time for some period, and that when even the exams were conducted, they were written on the chalkboard for them to conduct.
Well, like I said, school operation and running is an ongoing project. It's an ongoing thing. You understand? The same teachers will tell you that when this administration came in, school grants used to be 400 naira per term per school. Arabia Shola increased grants to 400 100 naira per pupil per term. You can see the difference.
400 naira for the school
Per term.
before.
For the old school, yeah.
And then 400 naira per pupil at this time now.
Yeah.
When was it paid last to the schools?
Well, I don't have the exact statistics, but I knew that there were no complaints when the economy was good. You understand? What I want to emphasize, and as executive chairman, I'm saying this now, executive chairman of this new agency, basic education enforcement, we get the best out of the available resources. You understand? A lady came, a retired, I think the woman from Malaysia, she was on television yesterday, having spent like 45 years teaching, now retired 86 or so. And she said in their time, teaching was not as it was today. Why? Because they were committed to it, and a teacher then wouldn't mind investing his own resources into getting results. Obviously, I'm not asking teachers to spend their salaries on schools or whatever, but what I'm saying is government will provide as much as possible for the schools.
But would it be fair to make that comparison, Dr. Wade, when you look at the time of that person you talked about and this present time? Maybe that person was paid as and when due. The motivation level was high.
It's okay.
And what about this time when it seems that motivation
when that time, teaching, at the primary school level, teachers had a limit, a ceiling, as far as they could go. Now the government has removed that ceiling. You understand? A teacher could rise to become the PS now, permanent secretary. I mean, that's massive boost to any morale. Very massive, And, as much as education is education, whether in 1980 or 2016, you understand? And the outcome, what we want of the children, remain the same. Success. A teacher must be proud that he's producing good product. And that's a satisfying basis. We're not asking teachers to go and take a loan or do something. But what I'm saying is, especially with the creation of this agency in charge of quality assurance, we know what affects quality, and we are going to address those issues,
including motivation,
including motivation, and be it provision of infrastructure like is going on, be it running grounds, be it whatever. We have a fair idea, and I'm going to work with teachers union. I'm going to work with principals union. I'm going to work with the parents. The parents probably are the most difficult of my assignment, because our committee, the investigation we've done, has put a lot on the doorstep of parents.
In what way?
Most parents have failed in parenting. Most parents have failed. Some parents don't even know the school their children attend. They've never been there. You understand? Some parents have never asked their children, show me your book, or show me your homework or something.
So you want parents to be more involved in their children's
education? I want parents to take their responsibilities more seriously. They are that is the aspect of this job that, I find very challenging, because I can't, there's no legislation to force parents to behave. I cannot get police to arrest them. I cannot go to their home to force them, because they also have their stories. Oh, I've gone out to earn a living. And so I'm not asking a parent not to earn a living, but you brought out these kids into the world. For goodness sake, do your bit. Bringing up a child is not for government alone.
All right. Well, let's look at some policies, some of the policies on content that the government started with that earned it so many accolades then. I remember awards, from right here, from there.
Yep.
Especially about Appointment. Then we had the scholar buses also. Let me start with the scholar buses. Many people are saying we can't find them on the street again. It seems this is just a ruse. It was just to hoodwink people. They're not functioning again.
It wasn't a ruse. When we started, I think we started with 100 buses.
The Omoluabi scholar buses.
Yeah, Omoluabi scholar buses.
Where are they?
100. Obviously, we cannot concentrate this 100 in a few urban locations. They were spread around the state. And like any policy, government is dynamic in terms of thinking and implementation. I mean, if the economy had remained at the level it was in 2013, these 100 buses would have become 1,000 buses by now. You understand? But again, education is not the only sector government has to look after. So if resources dwindle, obviously we just have to.
Well, the 100 buses, are they still working?
They are working. We even have spare. I think we were keeping like 5 or 10 just in case of a route.
Are you sure the 100 is doing well to serve the entire state?
Yes.
At the moment,
because I still see the 5 standby buses where we keep them. So because if some routes are broken down irretrievably, some of those buses will have gone there to replace. And I see these buses working. I don't know where it's got the.
Well, some reports say they are not, functioning as they should.
They are. Send your roving reporter, about, early morning when pupils are going to school, and in the afternoon when they're
returning. Okay, let's now look at your point more. So much accolades when it was implemented. I remember UNESCO official was even right there in Elisha where it was launched then. And, at some point it was said that the appointment it's a retrieved from the students and that they were not returned. At some point it was said that, some schools even did not have the appointment. At some point also, while the governor was even on tour, some communities made a call that the appointment be sent to their own communities also. Yeah. Then some later said that even there was a backlash in terms of performance on that appointment. It wasn't. It did not really achieve what it was meant to achieve. That it was a misplaced power.
Yeah. Well, appointment, like we said, received accolades. And rightly so. It was a fantastic idea, whereby all the learning materials, books, past exam questions, past model answers were loaded, ready for the students to explore. Unfortunately, some pupils abused the device. Some pupils erased the content and used the device for other intended.
Were those issues not factored into the production that will be recalcitrant students? They
were factors, but you know what children are like. If they want to break it, they will break it. As much of this so much effort was devoted to making this device break-proof, as it were. But it's a device, it's a technology piece, and technologies do evolve, so people were able to. But largely, what I'm saying is, the device has been a success in terms of what it's been achieved.
Well, frankly, now tell me, with the benefit of hindsight, with the kind of euphoria that came with the launching, commissioning, and distribution of that particular tablet, and what obtains now with the state of education in Osun State, would you tell me frankly that the appointment project has been a success?
Well, we planned to give every senior secondary school SSS student an appointment there. It was not meant to go into the middle school. And so much, I think the estimate, our high school pupils there were about 200,000. You understand? And the business concept behind it was to use the device also as a springboard for technology transfer. So out of 200,000, we were to import from the manufacturers 50,000, which was done, imported, which was distributed. The distribution in some local governments was advertised and media presses. So, and then the remaining 150,000 was to be manufactured locally. A factory site has been acquired. I think it's even under development to do this. But again, like many things, nobody could foresee that the economy would turn out to be what it is now. You understand? But we distributed 50,000. In fact, if you are listening to some radios, we were asking some pupils to return there because it's something to be returned and reused. And pupils were going away
with it.
With their piece. So they were out there. If they were not out there, we will not be shouting return them. But what's happening now is because of the downturn in the economic fortune, the challenges we face, obviously the remaining 150,000 have not been.
So after the first production of the 50,000, there's not been any addition to it.
There's not been any addition, but the 50,000 have been distributed. All, we wanted to give SS1 to 3. So because of the limited quantity, all SS3 were given in all high schools.
Now what happens to the instances you cited where some were not returned, some were broken, some developed faults? That means we have less than 50,000 in circulation now.
Possibly so, but because an office was in charge of it, there will be defaulters, and they are being chased. Maybe some of them will not get their WAEC results, or we are being chased because, these devices must be returned.
Just to be clear, sir, at the moment as we speak now, the schools are on holiday. Or are they in session?
No, they are on holiday. I think they're coming back.
Okay. When they return, or before they went on this holiday, do we have the Okmomo tablets with the students, with some of those SS3 students?
Yeah, with the SS3 students, but they were supposed to drop them
before going on holidays?
With their respective principals, so that on resumption, the new SS3 will get them for use. So the original concept or the original idea to give all high school pupils one each is still there. And as soon as the economy improves, there's enough resources to do, such things.
But some people actually made some arguments also that this Okmoimo, in the final analysis, has not been what it was planned to be, and that looking at our reading culture in Nigeria, that it would have been better if government had invested in textbooks instead of putting them all together.
How about parents? Why are you saying government must invest in textbooks? Why are you not saying...
Well, government dictates the policy in that particular sector. Parents probably will have to follow.
Why are we not saying parents must invest in textbooks? I mean, I think that's where some misconception comes in. Parents now, because of free education, government must do everything. It's not possible, especially in an environment of challenge, financial challenge. I mean, government has produced that appointment loaded with all the textbooks, you understand? Exam questions, answered, model answer in there. So it's a learning device. It's a support device. I can't remember government asking parents not to buy books. And, some people even want to take free education to the ridiculous extent of not wanting to invest in simple exercise books.
Well, that takes me to the issue of free education, as it were, today now. Let's look, will government, or is government reconsidering free education as a package as it is today? Because there's been argument that what you didn't pay for, you may not really appreciate that. That's why even the WAEC numbers keep falling in Osun State and in some other parts of the country. Is government reconsidering the free education in any aspect?
Government is taken with the free education policy, and free education means free tuition. You understand? No pupil will be asked to pay a penny, a kobo tuition in Osun school. It is in the manifesto of the All Progressive Congress, the ruling party, and the Osun government will implement that to the letter. So no child in any school in Osun State will be asked to pay 1 kobo in tuition. You understand? But this is not to say we're asking parents not to be involved. There are so many areas of need in a school that responsible parents must, even without prompting from anybody, must seek to be engaged in. Parents, teachers associations are back and fully functioning in all the schools. My agency will work closely with them to see what areas they can assist government or their school or their pupil to excel. And what the bottom line for my agency is to produce pupils that are excellent in learning and character. Excellent in learning and character. And it is a multi-stakeholder assignment. Teachers must do their bit, parents must do their bit, government must do its bit. Pupils themselves must also do that.
All right. Now, these beautiful structures that we have all over the states now, the high school, the elementary school, the middle schools, been built by the administration. So much has been talked and concerns raised about its sustainability, the maintenance. You know what our maintenance culture is in Nigeria.
Yeah.
There's been talks about government concessioning some of these schools to private individuals to manage. How far have you gone about the concessioning? Is there anything about concessioning as regards maintaining these schools?
Well, I think we just have to be a bit careful about the choice of words. Concessioning, I don't know whether we're talking the same thing, but what government wants is what we call facility manager. As part of the sustainability arrangement. Facility manager, one person or a company. You understand? The facility manager could be a person, it could be a corporate to manage the facility. If bulbs go out, to make sure they are put it back. If windows break, to make sure they are put back. If roofs fall off, to make sure they are put back. You understand?
Who bears the cost of the facility managers?
Of course, government to maintain. You spoke about maintain. Yeah, maintenance costs money. And if we build the structure, we must maintain. One approach to such maintenance is we just want to leave the principal to teaching, to tuition, to other aspect of this establishment. Everything to do with maintenance will be the responsibility of the facility manager. Facility manager could be one person. If he's experienced, we trained some pupils. I mean, some of our teachers are being retrained as facility managers.
Is there anything like school service providers involved in maintaining the schools also?
Well, like I said, I don't know what you mean by providers. We're talking of facility management.
Okay, would the managers be involved in, aside maintaining the structure, also be involved in affairs of the teachers and the pupils at all?
No. They are not involved with teaching equipment. They are not involved in, curriculum. They are not involved in anything. Because,
there's some fears, Dr. Awad. I don't know if you know that in the long term,
some fees
might just be, some teachers might have to go, and then maybe fees may be introduced into these schools. Are there any truth in all of these fears?
Free education means free tuition. Free education means free tuition. And that will remain. People that are brought in to maintain the facility, that will be their remedy. Maintain the facility so that the money invested will last. I've also had insinuations about maybe fees are coming in, but we're in a democracy and talk is free. I mean, if you bring somebody else on this street tomorrow, you will talk to oppose everything I've said. That's the role of opposition, to oppose. Understand?
There is no truth in those rumors that fees will be introduced in schools.
There will never be any fee. There will never be any tuition in schools. As far as I know, of the policy as it stands today, there will never be.
All right. Your agency, this new agency, Osun Basic Education Quality Assurance and Royalty Enforcement Agency, is no doubt going to play a very key role in the fortunes of education in the state. Does your mandate cover tertiary education also?
No, that's what we call, say, basic, from grade 1 to grade 12.
It's just basic?
Yeah, basic. Tertiary education have their own modulating arrangement. There's NAPTEC, there's NUC. Their own quality assurance is already being handled. But my remit is from elementary, middle, and high school. And we look at everything that defines quality in a school. Like I said, the end result we want to achieve is for these pupils to come out in flying colors. Like I said, in terms of WIAC results, the state, we have some improvement in absolute terms, but in relative, like this national.
The performance chart saying Osun is like 26.
Personally, I'm not even bothered about a performance chart where pupils did the exams under different conditions. In some states, they were writing answers for them. We've gone around. We've gone around some of this.
You're saying we should not use that as an assessment of the quality of education in the state?
Because the examination conditions were not uniform nationwide. So, those tables are meaningless. You understand? Some states were using unethical means just to look good on the table. Osun won't do that. What we want is persistent, regular improvement in performance.
All right. So by projection, in like how many months' time, or say years, should we begin to see the result of the efforts of your agency and Osun Basic Education?
Well, in terms of quality, in terms of discipline, it will be the first, because obviously most other things is underpinned by discipline. In terms of discipline, we must begin to see immediate results before the end of the first half. You understand? And we're putting in arrangements to ensure that quality improves, consistently. So even from the next year's WAEC, I'm hoping to jump from like the 22% that it is at the present to like 60% minimum.
All right. Well, just before I open the lines, now you talked about the PTA coming back fully into the school system here. Yeah. And at the same time, you talked about free education. What manner of, free education, when you are PTA, the idea of PTA kind of has is there are PTA levels, parents get involved even in financial sustainability of the schools. Is that the same situation as
Education is a multi-stakeholder project. You understand?
Will there still be PTA levies?
The PTAs are encouraged in schools. The PTAs are given a free hand. If the PTA decides to do A, B, C, you understand? And the government, obviously there will be some interaction with government, and the government, says, okay, this is worthwhile. This will help education. We won't stop that. You understand? But government will not levy the PTA. You understand? PTA can levy themselves if they so agree. PTA is not a one-man business. They have executive, they have parents attending. Government will not give any particular levy to a PTA, no. But the PTAs have a free hand to run themselves, and the PTAs exist to complement education in the state.
All right. Well, let's open the lines, Dr. Awade. I guess this one, Dr. Isiaka Ayodele Awade, the Executive Chairman of the newly formed Osun Basic Education Quality Assurance and Morality Enforcement Agency. We open the line for you right now, but we'd like you to keep your comments as short as possible, just a minute each for everyone, so that we can take as many calls as possible.
You can now join the conversation by calling 0703-175-9177, 0703-175-9177, and 0902-427-3808. You can equally make use of our social media platforms. For WhatsApp, 0703-175-9173, 0703-175-9173. Tweet at us at Rave917FM, and Facebook is Rave917FM. Do remember to turn down the volume on your radio set or move away from it. And please, let's keep our comments civil. Thank you.
All right. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
You need to tone down the volume of the radio set. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. My name is Ajibade.
Ajibade, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Medellin State.
Let's have a contribution.
Please, I just want to ask our guests in the house that about the students roaming about, that were not compelled to the school rules and regulations. Those students that will be playing outside the school compound, what is the duty of the body to those students?
All right. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ajibade. Dr. Wade will respond at the right time. Let's take some more calls. We have messages on our WhatsApp platform. Also here, Bayo Deji from Audio, who said no quality can be achieved where quality infrastructure is built, but the basic needs are not provided. Teachers are not enough in schools. A teacher that is not able to pay his child's fees, how do you expect him to teach effectively? Even chalks are not given to schools. Well, Dr. Wadi will respond to that. Also, hello, good morning.
Hello?
Thank you for joining us. What's the name where you calling from?
Yeah, I'm Oyini calling from Ede.
Mr. Oyini, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, please, I want to encourage, I just want to give kudos to the guests in the house. But I think what the guest is saying is like, I just want to point out about the PTA stuff, because when this government came into power, they said there will not be any PTA in the school again. So now giving the PTA the free hand to do what they want to do. Then they are like telling them that those students, they are going to be paying some kind of levy. That's what they are trying to tell us now.
Okay, all right, Dr. Dr. Wade will respond to that. He's muting all of the questions here. Hello, good morning.
Hello,
Thank you very much, Mr. Femi Abiodun.
During the second term of the governor, the PTA hold governor in the ransom that they were ready to support him and they will collect fee at the school. Governor refused then that they will not allow them to collect any token from the school as a PTA. Now, PTA have started collecting 1,200 per school. They pay for the last term. They pay 1,200 every student in every school. Why? Why for PTA to come and collect 1,200 for school?
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Femi Abiodun. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Saturday.
Femi from Ofatedo.
Yes, sir.
Let's have a contribution.
Please, I only want to ask just a clarification when you talked about school running grants. You talked about before the administration, 400 naira were given per school, and after, when the administration came in, it turned to 400 naira per pupil. I think that is kind of not clear. Then my second question is about being illegalism with merging schools together. It's already happening. I want to know if there is any plan towards doing something about that.
All right.
These are my questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Femi from Ofatedo. This message is from Afiz Adebayo Kebale Oshogo. Good morning. It's a complete state of insincerity on the part of the current administration to come out clean on the actual figure of the state debt profile. It doesn't in any way help us if we don't know where we actually stand in terms of financial status. We need to be transparent if we want our state to witness rapid development, not only media hype. Well, we're actually talking about education, really here. Let's take the next call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for joining us. What's your name? Where you call it from? You need to tone down the volume of the radio set. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Omariwala Dari. I'm calling from Buchobo.
Okay.
I want to comment the man you brought to your studio this morning. And I want us to commend the government for the innovation that introduced in the educational sector. If we look at the history of education worldwide, sacrifices have to be made. And when sacrifices are made, we know that there can be no gain without pain. Finland today is number one in education. When they started the revolution 40 years ago, it was noise and criticism.
I'm afraid, Mr. Ayo, I guess you will need to call back. The line is barely audible. We could barely hear what you are saying here. This message reads, this government policy is not helping education in any way. Based on the new WAEC result, Osun is 29th in the Federation building schools, annoying teacher salaries, there won't be any good result. A hungry man is an angry man. Adekunle Ademola from Otaifun in Osogbo. Good morning.
Hello, my name is Lawasi.
Your name, sir? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Osogbo.
What's your name, sir?
Yeah, my comment is this.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Lawal Wasir.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much.
Okay. I want to comment about the appointment that Adegbeshola said is going to give all the children. If you go to this school of science in Africa, they just give half of the people. Let me tell you something. Adegbeshola is just wasting our money. I mean, if I'm listening to your radio this morning, they say that they are collecting TA money, 1,015 naira. Why they are collecting the money? Because Adegbeshola is saying that free of education in a first stage. But let me tell you something. I cannot believe all those girls that they are working with Adegbeshola, because all of them, they are a liar. Because Adegbeshola himself is a liar too.
Well,
that's my own opinion.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's keep our comments very civil while we look at the issues here. Hello, good morning. Hello? Good morning.
Hello, good morning. My name is Sam.
Sam, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Osogbo, Osun State.
Thank you very much, Sam.
Please, I want you to help us ask Dr. Wade. He said, prior to the advent of this government, they were giving 400 naira to the school to run, but when the government came on board, it became 400 per pupil. Is it to give them biro or to give them pencil or for a eraser or for a device book?
That's on that. Please, what is the number of appointments in circulation today, and in what schools can it be found? My thought question. He said the government took delivery of 50,000 copies. Did government pay for 50,000 copies? If the government did not pay for 50,000 copies, what happened to the financial left over? Has it been collected back from the company that produced it or not? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Sam. Let's take one more call, and then, okay, this message coming in now from Maruf from Oshogbo. So, good morning, Mr. Femi. Please, government should forget about education in Oshogbo State. It seems they don't have the idea of how schools should be run. So many mistakes have been made, and they should just accept that. Thank you, Maruf from Oshogbo. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us, sir. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Olagunju is my name. I'm coming from Oshogbo.
Mr. Olagunju, thank you very much.
Frankly speaking, whatever policy government, put forth, especially on education, that does not take good care of teachers. Those policies are rules. Because right now, let me tell you the fact, the morale of the teachers are the lowest ebb. That is the fact. Let them go out, interview people. They will know what I'm trying to say. Teachers are so sad. They are so dilapidated in terms of ability to work. Any policy government puts forth that does not take care of teachers will make education a non-issue in Osun State.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Olagunju. Let's return to Dr. Wadina. Thank you very much. Well, he's been writing furiously, jotting all of the questions right here. Let's look at the issues quickly now, one after the other, because of our time. We have barely 5 minutes to go here. One struck me. The PTA, Femi Abiodun, called from Oshogbo and said that it's unfortunate that despite the promises of the governor that PTAs are now charging 1,200 naira per pupil. He said it's still free education.
Okay, well, I said PTA is back in school. PTA is autonomous. It's an association of parents and teachers.
Are they allowed to bill the students, to charge them to pay fees?
They have a free hand to run. And when he says PTA are charging, I don't know how much. One school is charging itself. The PTA have decided to support the school on their own volition, or are they charging all schools in the environment, in the area? Understand? Because these PTAs are per school. So when PTAs, those who have children in the school, say, okay, we want to help, we want to contribute ABC to support government in education, is he saying we should stop them? No, government will not levy PTA. I said that before. But the PTA is free. The PTA in each school has a free hand to decide what areas of education they want to assist with.
All right.
Because it's their children we're talking about.
All right. Well, and one talked about grants now still being given to schools, saying that they even have difficulties in getting jobs.
That's not true. Like I said, Arabia Shola increased the grants from, you can go and check this, Arabia Shola increased grants from 400 naira per term at school to 400 naira per pupil.
And is the grants being given to the principal?
Yeah, they have a withdrawal arrangement. So things like, running the school, employing night guard, buying registers, and so on.
But it's been some time they got it last.
I don't know when they got it last. I don't know when they got it last, but that much I know, was the new rate which they were getting.
Okay. And then Sam from Oshogbo raised the Opoimo, saying if 50,000 were delivered out of the 200,000, then what happens to the financial commitment of the state to the company that they entered into this with these agreements?
If 50,000 was delivered, the financial arrangement for 50,000 has been met. The suppliers will not give us, for free.
Did Osun State commit itself to payment of 200,000?
No. The 50,000 was to the initial import, and then the remaining 150,000 was to be built locally. And I think, there's a factory site already for that. Part of the spin-off from the appointment arrangement is also the factory in Elisha, the RLG factory in Elisha, building laptops and phones and so on. So these are the technology transfer portion of the project. Obviously, unfortunately, there was not sufficient money to carry on. But it's a project. government projects can be implemented anytime. Maybe not by Arabia Shola, but somebody else will come. I mean, the ring road that is being built by Arabia Shola today was conceived by Babakande in 2002, 2003. So it's on the pipeline.
Okay, what other question do you think you should address, amongst the ones you jotted there before we go? Just like 1 minute. Well, some of them very key because
most of the points raised, Olariwaju gave commendation that time. Olariwaju spoke about teachers' morale.
It's a very, very low. It's at its lowest.
That has been, it's a continuum, like I said, and I gave you examples of what Arabia Shola has done to boost morale. If you are in a situation, if you are in an employment that originally pegged you at a certain level, and some other policy came up to raise the bar for you so that you can go beyond that ceiling. I mean, that is very, very big.
But Dr. Awade, we're talking about like just one out of maybe one or two of these people, of these teachers getting to that level.
You could want to speak about salaries being delayed. Yes, I spoke earlier on. We cannot single education for bashing. Other sectors have been affected
also.
So
okay.
It's not peculiar.
Well, just before we go, it's been a very interesting conversation, Dr. Awade. You said you were not bothered about the performance chart the other time, but then parents are apparently very concerned about that chart. Ocean 29.
Parents should be concerned on what their children brings home, the result, the right result of their child, not a superfluous table. You understand? Where they are doing what they like in River State, Anambra is doing what it likes. The exam conditions are not uniform nationwide. You understand what I'm saying? So we cannot now judge our own pupil with pupils where teachers, stood in the front of the class to dictate answers in an exam.
All right.
We won't do that.
Well, Dr. Awade, you will have to come back again. Education is so wide, and we need to look at so many issues, right there. But we thank you sincerely, sir, for joining us this morning on Frank Talk on Rave 91.7 FM. Dr. Isiaka Ayodele Awade, my guest this morning, is Executive Chairman of Osun Basic Education, Quality Assurance, and Morality Enforcement Agency. We appreciate you sincerely, sir, for finding time to join us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
And to you, dear listener, we thank you so much for being a part of our world here today. It's the first edition of Frank Talk This. We'll go back here tomorrow for another edition of the program on behalf of my team and executive producer, Femi Adefila. My name is Femi Olani. We're asking you to have a great week.
If you build it, they will come.